All right. Well, welcome. Hold on. So welcome tonight to the Hands4Hope Parent Information Meeting. My name is Nicole Crane, and I am the program director here at Hands4Hope. I've been here for 9 years, and my background is public education. So 16 years before I came to Hands4Hope, I was a classroom teacher and administrator for San Juan Unified School District, left state with my babies for a little bit, and then I've been here for 9 years, loving this organization. So I'm very excited to be able to talk to you about it tonight. Like I said, I will have Tarka as soon as she is able to join us. So tonight, really, we're just gonna look at an overview of our programs, welcome you into our youth center, talk about the impact that our programs have on the youth in the community, talk a little bit about requirements, which I think you've seen a little bit through the application process, and then just have some time to answer some questions. Laura's here today too. This is Laura Davis. She's our education program coordinator for Folsom, and so we do have an education program coordinator for each one of our regions. So Folsom, Placerville, El Dorado Hills, and then Cameron Park, Shingle Springs. So there's one mentor for each one of those areas, and so they, really work with all of the youth that are in our education program. So here at Hands4Hope, the first thing to understand is our mission and vision and our core values. These are really, it says a lot about who we are. So our mission is to inspire and empower youth in leadership and service. And the vision is a community of civic-minded and socially responsible citizens for generations to come. And that's really the key. That's really, again, our vision is that we are helping to build civic-minded people so that they're youth now, they're involved and engaged, but hopefully they're taking that with them into their next community, whatever that is, it's college or they're moving. They're taking this desire to understand how they can make a difference and an impact in their own community. So our core values, we're youth driven. Everything we do has a youth element in it. All of our programs are youth led. You will never see adults. Usually I have my co-facilitator here, but my original one had a family person. So, but you rarely will see an adult doing these presentations alone. You will not walk into a club meeting and find an adult running that meeting. You will always, come on, okay. You will always have a youth who is leading that effort. And so why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Sarka, and I'm the El Dorado Hills Community Engagement Ambassador, and I'm a senior at Oak Ridge High School.
And how long have you been in Hands4Hope?
I've been in Hands4Hope all 4 years of high school, a little bit of 8th grade, so a while now.
Great. So again, you're always going to see this dynamic when there's these kind of presentations, and then when your children are in the club, you're going to see the peer leadership team leading them, and you'll always see Laura like that. That's how you'll see her in a club meeting. You'll see her in the background, walking around, and, helping by just being supportive, but the youth are the ones that are doing the dynamic leading. Inclusion, this is extremely important to us. Safety is paramount, and so that's physical safety always, but then psychological safety is really important to us because we have a club model and it is peer-led. We want to make sure that there's no cliques. We want to make sure that it is a safe place for youth to, be able to voice their own opinions, to really be creative with the kind of projects they want to do. And in order for that to happen, we spend a lot of time with our youth leaders in talking about diversity and inclusion, and what does it mean to engage youth, all youth, to bring them to the table, to have a meaningful conversation about the project that they're going to be doing. And then service, that's what we do. We use service as a vehicle to instill a lot of these values, to help youth find their voice, and then to give back to the community. And then collaboration, you'll hear throughout all of our programs how collaboration is really, it's something that we're teaching, but it's something that they're learning organically through the process. And then integrity. Everything we do at Hands4Hope, we do it with full integrity. So we do have 2 locations. This is our Hands for Hope. This is our youth center. This is our Hands for Hope Youth Center in El Dorado Hills. It's also our administrative office. So going through there, this is where kind of the core administration team works out of. But really, this room is our youth board room, and so typically it's not set up like this. Set up with a big board communal table, and that's where a lot of the project development for our after-school component happens. We do have a youth center in Placerville as well. That's just walking distance from Markham and El Dorado High School. In our service areas are El Dorado County and Sacramento County. And that's important because all of the projects that we do can only be in those areas. So we're not looking to do anything international, nothing on a large scale. We're really looking for youth to make an impact kind of right where they live.
All right, and so for background and current programs, so Hands for Hope was founded in 2008. I was just 2 years old. It was currently serving 600 active participants. It started with just 12. And so for our programs that we're going to explain a little bit more in other sides are our community engagement and our education programs. So for community engagement, there's monthly and bi-monthly regular outreaches. There's 12 of these, and there's annual outreaches, and there's 10 of these. So these will just be through our website, signing up for these outreaches. You don't have to be a part of like any of these other education programs to be able to do these. For the education programs, there's after schools committees. There's 9 of these. There's RCH, homeless support, children's food pantry, winter boutique, kids zone, Aspire, school supply, and fall festival. I've been a part of 7 of these, so haven't hit all 9 just yet, but we'll get there. And then these will be after school, like it says, and then all schools are able to participate in these. And then there's the on-campus school clubs. So there's high school and middle school clubs at all the local high schools, again, from Folsom to Placerville. So again, these will have meetings also at lunch, which we have a little bit more information on other sides for, but these are all part of our education program.
Okay, so both of our programs, our community engagement and our education program, have these common goals to create awareness of community needs. And I think this is really important to understand. So Tarka mentioned that we started, our executive director who founded Hands for Hope is still our executive director. And the reason why she founded this organization, it wasn't an accident. She didn't really want to start a nonprofit. But what happened was her elementary age son came home and said, I need to out a flyer, and said, I need to take canned food to school tomorrow because we want to win a pizza puppy. And she said, oh, what are you collecting food for? And I don't know. I just know I want to be a part of the winning class. So I need to bring, this food. And so she was, got her thinking, I really want my kids to understand the meaning of what they're doing. And so she was able to pull those 12 kids that started were her children and their friends. And so she just wanted to help facilitate a project where the youth could understand if they were collecting food, where the food was going, how people might be food insecure. What does that look like? Where does it go to the food bank? Then how does it get distributed? How is it stored? Like all of that. And so they were able to work on this, project that had more connection to, the community and what the need was. It wasn't just about taking the can to school. And so it caught on. So now we're at 600 kids. But really that was because of that just kind of process of her really wanting that. So that's how, we've continued to keep these goals to inspire compassion that leads towards meaningful action. Again, just making sure that they understand the connection to what they're doing. And we'll talk about what that looks like in a programmatic sense. And then hands-on experiences to learn and act on their own values. So kind of help develop. We've got our core values. We hope that them just acting in service helps them develop their core values, and that service will be a part of that. And then opportunities for leadership and personal development. We do that throughout everything that we do in Hands for Hope for all youth, not just youth that are considered, your kind of standard leader qualities.
Okay, and then for our programs at a glance. So we again have our community engagement and our education program. The main difference is that the community engagement is more flexible, and then the education program is more like almost structured. So the community engagement, there's unlimited community service hours. Basically, you would just go onto our website and register, and you would be able to have just a list of different opportunities that are happening soon in the future. And you can just sign up. There's different community and social issues that we help with. You get hands-on experience again in different areas of service. You can volunteer as a family. If you're a parent that wants to come to an event, we definitely need adult volunteers. And then we usually have opportunities for younger kids as well. So there's a lot of opportunities in that sense. And then basically with the community engagement opportunities, the main thing is you become socially responsible. So what does that mean? Socially responsible means that you develop inspiration to hold themselves accountable for fulfilling their civic duty within their own community. So it is a lot more of the service part, whereas education is a lot more of the planning. And so education is you'll create, execute, reflect on, and evaluate a project. So you'll be there for all steps of the way, whether it's through a club or through a committee. And then you develop all these skills with communication, teamwork, critical thinking, problem solving. And this is really helpful in the future as well and leads into other activities. And you learn the skills to be civic-minded. So what does civic-minded mean? You deepen their interest in and care about what's happening in their community and have the skills to make a positive impact. I really like the education programs like the clubs and committees, just because you get to be a part of the program all steps of the way and get to see the event that you're planning actually come together. But the community engagement opportunities are really fun as well when you want a quick event to go to and meet new people in your community.
So a little bit more about community engagement, exactly what Tarka said. So this is an opportunity. This is Mercy Creek View in Folsom. It is an affordable housing for seniors. So this is one of our regular outreaches. So monthly, youth can sign up for this. They go and help prepare and serve a meal to the seniors. And then really they sit with them now we can finally be back after COVID. We've had a bit of a hiatus, but now they can sit with them and do crafts. They can do just sit and chat. And so really, like Tarka said, this gives youth the opportunity to kind of try on service, to see, I'm going to sign up and see, do I really love to serve seniors? Or do I want to go up to Placerville to GDCC and help the food insecure and help them kind of go through the food pantry? Or do I want to go across the parking lot to our partners at MAPS, where we have a bi-monthly outreach with children that are on the autism spectrum? And so they really get to see, what do I like? Do I like a variety of doing that? Do I want to go, every month to this and then commit my, to a different event? Or am I just really passionate about this one area? So it gives them a lot of different opportunities. There is a $30 registration fee after you register, and that's annually, and that's really to cover insurance. But they can volunteer for as many hours as they want. And I know that's like, okay, but it's really not that easy to find organizations that support minor volunteering in all of these different areas. And we're very lucky to have a network of about 45 partners that allows us to kind of, allow a lot of different opportunities for youth. Okay.
Okay, and then for service learning versus community service. So on the right here is a picture of service learning, or no, community service. And so an example of this might be, I don't know if you guys are familiar with clubs like P Club at high schools. So this would be more like the club will look at different issues, look at different events and say, hey, go sign up for this event, then we'll sign off on your hours afterwards. Hands4Hope is a little bit different in the sense that we have service learning. So this, like we explained a little bit earlier, is planning every part of the event kind of from the ground up and then going to the event itself and reflecting on it afterwards. So we really prioritize like setting goals, setting like working with a team and actually collaborating throughout that event versus going for hours. Kind of like Nicole was explaining was why Jennifer wanted to start Hands4Hope in the first place. And then for education programs, our school clubs. So school clubs are more about hands-on experience and project development and implementation to fit community needs. So they'll meet during lunch or after school. Usually the high school clubs are during lunch and the middle school ones are after school. They're peer-led by their own youth leadership team. So they'll have the president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and PR coordinator. This gets really cute when it's the middle schoolers coming together and leading their clubs. They have a teacher advisor and a trained Hands4Hope education program coordinator. So like we said, it would just be an adult, like for example, Oak Ridge, we have Sam. So she would help with planning leadership meetings, but also during the meetings actually be there and be able to support leaders if needed. But leaders do lead the meetings themselves. And then we utilize the 5 stages of service learning. So we'll have an investigation phase, picking what area of need that we want to support, finding an organization. We'll have planning an event that we want to do. We'll have action, have the actual event. Then we'll have reflection, reflecting on the event, what could have gone better, what we can do better for the next year, and demonstration, presenting about the event to a club, or to their own club, and reflecting on it as well. And for the clubs, there's no registration fee required. However, donations are requested to support Hands4Hope. And then for after-school committees. So these are, again, to help fill unmet community needs, but they're after school, and they're available to all people in Hands4Hope. So communities have a set focus on specific areas of need. Like I was kind of listing out earlier, we have our food pantry if you're interested in tackling food insecurity, or if you're more interested in Inspire, helping with clothing issues. There's a lot of options over there. And so these will meet during evenings, weekends, and summers. It really depends on the committee. Some are seasonal, they'll only happen during summer and the fall time, and some will happen all year round. And these operate through the Hands4Hope Youth Center, or they'll have partner agencies. Like for example, Aspire works with Aspire Kids, and we work together to collect clothing. They have a youth leadership team, the committee chair, vice chair, and volunteer coordinator. Again, these are the people that run the majority of the meetings with an adult mentor there as well. And then they also utilize the stages of service learning. So using this planning and demonstrating, even though it might function a little bit differently, each committee is honestly really different. I've learned new stuff going into every single committee that I wouldn't have thought I would learn. So they all have a little bit of their own experience with them, but they definitely do all stick to those core values. And then you apply for participation and register on the Hands4Hope website. Again, you have to be registered with that registration fee, and then you can go into any committee that you'd like.
And so as an example of one of our seasonal committees, this is our school supply committee that ran this summer. So they started in March. It's open to 7th through 12th grades. And so we had a committee of 20 youth. And so they spent their summer, it was 450 hours collaboratively of those 20 youth planning. We have a partnership with the County Office of Ed in El Dorado County. And so they knew by learning from them that they were going to expect about 700 kids at this distribution that they needed to have backpacks and school supplies for. And so then they knew that they had to plan enough events to get these donations, but then also to ask for funds and then do the shopping, which they did. They had this big event here, which was the Stuff the Bus event in Town Center. And so they planned all of it from start to finish, knowing that their goal was 700 backpacks, and they did reach their goal. Then they were able to set up the distribution at Chanel School in Placerville, and they served 705 kids full. The kids got to come in, pick their backpack, shop around for what they needed by age group, and the total net worth of their project was just under $50,000. Was what they did for those 700 kids in the community. And again, all youth led. There was 2 adult mentors on that committee. And so they worked March through August 5th on that event. Okay, so Tarka already kind of talked about this. So this is our service learning process. So it's not really a curriculum as much as it is a process. We use this both in middle school and high school. So everything is peer-led, like Tarka said. So we start with our investigation. And so what that looks like at a club level is the youth are looking collectively to find out what is an area of need. What are the areas of need? So, typical, animals, that's a big one for middle school, seniors, food insecure, homeless, veterans. I mean, the list goes on and on. So they get to talk about all of these areas, and you do a little bit of research on that, and then they land on one. They have to vote, go through this whole process of voting, and then they pick which one that group wants to do. And so it's different every year because it depends on who's in the club. And so for the sake of this, let's use a middle school for an example. So a lot of times they land on animals. And so let's say they landed on animals and they really want to help dogs. And so in their investigation process, we have our 45 partner agencies that I mentioned. So we connect them with the agencies that support dogs. And then for right here, we would pick Foothill Dog Rescue as an option. That agency comes into the school and actually does a presentation so that youth can learn in real time what the deficits are for that for that organization, because that's the other piece of what we're doing here, is we're trying to help fill unmet needs. So we're not just here to donate, again, that meaningful, we want to know what's really out there in terms of deficit. So they picked Foothill Dog Rescue through that presentation, and this was a real project. They heard that one of the number one things that they need to make sure that every one of their dogs that comes in that gets fostered and adopted, they have to have a year with a partner. And so they learned that that was about $100 a dog. So that for them, after the presenter left and they talked about everything we heard in the presentation, that was something that they, said we can help with this. So then they decide, okay, they decided, okay, we think we can help 12 dogs with $1,200. So now we get to plan. How are we going to raise the $1,200 to help these dogs? And so then we give them lots of options. They can be as creative as they want. They can do on campus, they can do off campus, they can do online, they can do a mix of those things. This particular group decided they wanted to stay on campus. It was in middle school. So they went through a bunch of different things that they could do on campus, and what they landed on was a teacher versus student volleyball game. And so what they had to do then was figure out, how do they put that on, and how long does it take them? What is a timeline? Is it going to happen next week? Probably not. So then they have to, they have to figure out when they're going to do it, how to get permission to do it, get that permission. Then how do they recruit for people to play in the game? What are they going to do for that? How do they market it to the people so that they come to the game? And then are they going to have another money-making component within that, like a snack table? And so what does that look like? Then how do they man the event? How do they have to go through volunteer management, figure out how to do that? And they're doing all of this, again, peer-led, with the support of their mentor. So then they have action, they have the event, and maybe they make their goal of $1,200 and maybe they don't. And either way is okay, because they've gone through this whole process and they reflected throughout the whole thing. And so now they're going to decide, what were our successes and challenges? And how could we make it stronger for next time? And so for us, there's a lot, like you'll see back there, we've got our annual reports. And I mean, our youth are putting out 12 to 14,000 hours a year into the community, 50 or more $1,000 into the community. And that's what you hear a lot of, but what you don't hear is all of the skills that were built during this process. So we love the outcomes that the community gets, but what we also get is a lot of outcome from youth going through this cycle, and then being able to demonstrate it to their school, to their family. Usually they come up with a slideshow or a video or something like that, so they can clearly show the steps that they went through, and share that.
All right, and then for our leadership development, so what Hands4Hope also focuses on is helping leaders analyze their own strengths, leverage other leaders' strengths, set personal and team-oriented goals, and lead their peers through the stages of service learning. So where this primarily happens is through our leadership camps. We have a high school and a middle school leadership camp. So participants commit to a designated level of leadership participation and service, usually in their club elections or when they run for a position on a committee. So once they become a leader, they can come to these camps. And here we'll learn and utilize the methodologies of strength-based leadership. So we'll have different workshops, as you can see, also led by youth, the kind of leaders of the youth board. They'll teach different workshops. So for example, at our camp, I taught strengths workshops and diversity workshops, and I worked with an adult mentor and another youth to also help plan these. And we would be the ones basically teaching it to other people. We'll teach and model the stages of service learning. So I part kind of like Nicole just explained, so that youth can go into their schools feeling prepared and feeling like they're able to do it themselves, and also help with goal setting. So they'll learn how to set their own personal goals for the whole year, outline them, and also learn what steps they can take to be able to go into these goals. So we really extend just beyond just Hands4Hope, with helping youth be able to tackle these different areas of leadership. And so they'll lead their peers through hands-on applications. So we'll have different activities like team building as well at these camps. We had a zip lining at the camp that we just went, so that was really fun, and kind of like rock climbing too. So we got a lot of team building, and you get to work with people across the whole area, which is really nice, and also collaborate with adult mentors who are there at the camp as well and are there to help with facilitating activities.
Yeah, and so with the strength-based, we do utilize Gallup. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Gallup assessment. And so with that, like if you saw my emails to you, inviting you to this and reminding you at the bottom, there's like 5 words. Those are my 5 strengths. And so we do that with our youth as well. Middle and high school leaders take that assessment and they learn about their strengths. And then we are able to use that as kind of a universal language as we're teaching collaboration and teamwork. Again, really highlighting the fact that we have a lot of different youth, and so not everybody is going to come to the table with the same strength and celebrate that. And then the collaboration with adult mentors, it is different. So we call ourselves mentors because that's what we're doing. We're mentoring and coaching, and we don't have the same interface or relationship as a teacher-student relationship. It is much more of a partnership with the coaching element. And so we do have connection with youth. A lot of the times when they start middle school, we're able to have that connection all the way through high school and beyond. So it is a really unique opportunity for us to really help youth grow at their own pace, in their own unique way.
Okay, and then for education program impact, a quote from me, Hands4Hope has given me what I needed to become the person I am today. The community I've found here has taken me from a quiet middle schooler to a leader in all levels of my community. And I've used the skills I've learned here to lead and plan other community events, feeling confident going into college and the workforce that I have a step up. So just kind of explaining this, when I first came into Hands4Hope, I definitely was not as outgoing. I was kind of like nervous about it, unsure about it. But getting to work with different people across our community really helped me to be able to do things like present to a group of adults about Hands4Hope and just learn through all of these different events of service, really learn about our community needs that I would read about before, but never had like a hands-on experience of and actually understood what was going on and see the people that are actually facing these needs is so much more impactful than reading a news article about it. And also the adult mentorships has been really helpful. Like for example, outside of Hands4Hope, I've been able to talk to Nicole about planning a different event. I've literally used like the Hands4Hope spreadsheet template to be able to help plan that event. So you get a lot of resources that are super helpful for not just the Hands4Hope itself, but you can take with you and come into your future feeling a lot more prepared.
And then we've got Tarka's perspective, and then I just want to share this parent perspective as well.
Hello, thank you, Haley. You're going to be an excellent physician. What amazing young women that we've been hearing from tonight. My name is Carrie Marino Hunt. I live here in El Dorado Hills, and I have 4 kids who are active in Hands4Hope to varying degrees. My oldest, Ian Hunt, just graduated from Oak Ridge in May, and he's now at Cal Poly Humboldt studying environmental resource engineering if physics doesn't kill him first. I'm going to talk briefly about his journey and then about my more recent revelations about Hands4Hope as a parent and how it really has shaped Ian and who he is and in preparing him for college and beyond. Volunteerism has always been important in our family and something that we've encouraged in our kids. When Ian started middle school, he jumped right in on his own accord. We had been at many community events where Hands4Hope had a presence, and I think that really encouraged him, like Fall Festival and other things where it's just about fun. And so he jumped right in right from the start and was leading things and active in things. One of his favorite events is the senior crafts, where he would go to the Senior Memory Center every one Monday every month, and he would do crafts with the seniors. And he did this all through middle school and into high school, and he knew which seniors wanted to do the craft, which just wanted to talk, and he loved it. And he did it until that little pandemic shut things down for him. So a few things to know about Ian. Ian is a kid who never excelled at typical team sports. He's a dyslexic kid, and so the quick offense-defense didn't work for him. He's also not a gamer, another thing that didn't work well for either his brain or his personality. In middle school, Hands4Hope was a home for him, a place for him to thrive. Kids with dyslexia have to work extremely hard to be successful in school. Hands4Hope provided a place where he could excel just by being who he was. It provided a friend group, confidence, and a place to belong, and he truly loved it. So through the years, he continued to be what some would call a little excessively involved in Hands4Hope. He held a lot of leadership positions. He also encouraged his 3 younger sisters to get involved. His senior year, he was one of the youth board members. So through the years, we just sort of watched, and while for us, we thought he was just giving back to his community a lot, which was great, but we didn't really look beyond that until he gave a talk with me and my work recently. So my aha moment came a few months ago when I was asked to give a talk at work about family volunteerism and Hands for Hope. I immediately asked Jen Bassett if she could talk about Hands for Hope. And her response in true Hands for Hope fashion was to say, well, can Ian give the presentation? And she would just be available for questions and to help as needed. So the day came, I did my portion, and then Ian did his presentation. I listened as he talked about the two arms of Hands for Hope, the service arm, which I was familiar with, and the leadership education arm, which I was not as familiar with. I learned a lot during that talk, which led to the most important thing that I learned. As I sat there watching my dyslexic kid, who struggled his whole life to read and write, who bumbles at home, speak clearly and passionately about Hands for Hope, its mission, and to a whole group of physicians without any nervousness or hesitation, it all clicked. While we thought he was simply volunteering all these years, he was actually receiving the best real-life education from you all, the employees, other volunteers, community partners, and the communities and people he serves. His time and experience with Hands for Hope, the mentorship, the leadership training, has been hands down the single most influential thing in his life and in preparing him for college and beyond. And for that, I must say a heartfelt thank you. Hands for Hope's ability to give youth a way to serve their community, all while getting back way more than they're giving, is truly a gift. Thank you for coming tonight to support this very important organization that is instrumental.
And I think that's, that's so important because, again, I can't express enough how we have such a variety of youth who make their way through leadership and participation in a way that feels good for them and in a way that they can grow at their own pace. And so I just love Ian's story, and he's at Cal Poly Humboldt, where my daughter is too, and he's doing great. So I chat with him often. Okay, so requirements. So in order to be in the education program, which is what your children are in, they must always positively represent Hands for Hope. And so again, as I opened, our values, our vision, our mission, and just being respectful is the most important thing. We really like to, curate that environment within each one of our clubs and committees. And so we just ask that of everybody. Attendance is important. So this is a project, as we outlined. And so if they start missing that project, they're not going to have the same investment in it. And the project isn't going to be as successful. One of the things that's important to know, and this was brought up with Sutter because they have a waiting list. They have a waiting list at Oak Ridge as well, one at Marina. And that's because we cap the amount of students that can be in each club. We limited it to 30. And that's because we want them to have meaningful participation. So when students don't, meet this attendance requirement, what happens is it just becomes smaller and smaller for you to participate in that project. So 80%, and that will equal about 20 hours. They don't have to do anything outside of the club. If they just meet that attendance requirement and then participate in the project itself, that's really what we want. And then they just have to register on service. And that's a little confusing because it's a two-step process. So in order to be in the club, most youth are filling out a Google form. So they're either clicking online, they found it at their club rush at school, and they fill out that Google form. And that's an application to apply to be in the club. That doesn't necessarily put them in the club, and it does not register them as a volunteer. So that's one step. So then the second step is, hopefully everybody's already done it, but that's what we leave some time at the end of this meeting to be able to help explore, make sure that your child is completely registered on service, which is our volunteer management system that holds all of the hours. And it does that in perpetuity, so it's never going to go away. So if they need to have hours verified later on, which a lot of times youth do, they can come back to that, and those hours will be done.
And then for our program benefits, so you can participate, like we said, in unlimited community service opportunities once you're signed up on service. You're also eligible to qualify for the President's Volunteer Service Award, something that later on, if you continue to be in Hands for Hope with, is something that students can put on their college applications. You learn to identify a need in the community, like we were talking about earlier, not just looking at just throwing money at an issue, but picking like an issue that actually needs help with, and picking like an area that is specifically like needing help in our community. You learn how to create, execute, reflect, and evaluate a project, and you develop skills again in communication, teamwork, critical thinking, and problem solving, all that help with not just high school, but also your future. And you learn the skills to be civic minded.
Okay, so parents, so you already, checked off the box, come to the mandatory parent information meeting. And this is important. So before COVID, we were doing them. Then during COVID, we did them on Zoom. And it was just, the engagement just wasn't there. It's not the same on Zoom. So we're glad that you were able to be here. We also like to see the facility. But it's important because, like Terry mentioned, as a parent of a highly involved youth, I mean, Ian was the top hours earner last year for the organization at 505 hours or something like that. Not everybody does that, but she didn't even really know what he was doing. And that's the reason why we started these parent meetings to begin with, is because I had a similar situation where a youth, was very involved, and their parents just didn't kind of connect the dots of what they were doing. So thank you for being here tonight, and I hope this is helpful. And then just support your children by assisting them with transportation as needed. If they are going to an event, if they're hosting their event off campus, we do try to communicate, and Laura can attest to this, especially for middle school. We're trying to help them learn how to communicate, but we are also, all of us are parents, so we know that those last minute things are no fun for parents. So we do try to let you know in advance. As soon as we know when and where and what their project is, you'll get an email. You can also, a really good way to also follow what's happening is our website. So on our website at the top, there's a drop down that says school clubs, and each school club has their own web page. And so that will have their project information. Also follow them on social media. And then our newsletter also keeps everything pretty up to date. And then willingness to attend at least 2 events during the program year. We ask you to come as a volunteer. Come volunteer with your child, your family, so you can kind of see what it's like out there in our community engagement program. But then also attend one as an attendee, a paid event. Like our one that's coming up next week is our Nashville Live concert. This is in Folsom at the Harris Center. But we have about 4 events during the year that you could attend as a paid attendee, and that just helps our budget, which I'll go over a little bit in a second right now. So how can parents help? And this is a true and accurate picture of what we have right now. So again, we have about 600 kids who are invested in engaging in Hands for Hope, and this is regular. Like, we have more kids that kind of do 1 or 2 things, but this is our regular participation, and these are our adults. So this is just adults who kind of help out, and then the orange is like fingerprinted adults who are willing to drive other Hands for Hope kids or be an adult at an event without anyone else there. So we're desperate for those resources, human resources like that, because we just don't have enough. So if you're at all interested, get fingerprinted with us so that you're available to help when we ask. But then also for the committees and the projects, we are really looking for those talents and skills. Again, project development. So any talent and skill that you have and you are willing to come and work with youth, we're always looking for people in finance, marketing, project management, anything like that, because the youth have more ideas than we have resources to help them with. So we could have many more committees than the committees that we have. We do not have enough adults. So like right now, you saw on the list our homeless committee and our children's committee. They're up there, but they're not operating right now because we do not have enough. So if you're at all interested, that is really a huge area. And then, donate. We're a nonprofit. 98% of our funding comes from very small grants and the events that we put on ourselves, and then any donations that come in. We do get a little bit of money. We have a partnership with Folsom Cordova School District, and so they do give us a little bit of money towards our clubs, but that's the only money outside of what we, earn or apply for on our own. We don't ask for money from the club, like we don't have a fee, but we do ask for a donation. It does cost us about $260 a kid to have them go through 1 year in the club. So anything that you're willing to donate towards that is very appreciated. And that is it. So on your tables, you do have parent surveys. There's an option if you would like to scan the QR code and do this on a Google Doc, you can do that, or you can do it on paper. And really, this is a parent interest survey that's just saying, yes, these are the things I might be willing to help with. I promise we won't overcall you. We try to really manage this well. And then this is just the donation form. If you're at all willing to donate anything, you can fill this out in paper, or you can fill this out on the Google Doc. Questions? We were that thorough. Good. Was that helpful? Good.
If we were even fingerprinted as a volunteer through the school district, do we still have to do a separate?
Yeah, it's an agency by agency. So, but we do get a nonprofit rate, so it is only $25. I have a form here tonight if you'd like to.
I have a question. It was very interesting to hear that you were shy and then you're such a great leader now. You speak so clear and
Thank you.
oh my goodness, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And is there any way that you can elaborate how this project helped you become the person? Because I have a kid, she's very talented, but she's very shy. That's why I'm here. She took a little bit of, I believe in volunteering, I'm a social worker, I really do. So she's loving it, but I know she's very shy. And it would be interesting to know how this changed with her.
Yeah. So I would say that it helped in a few ways. So one of the ways would be that and I was extremely quiet when I was younger. I think that forcing myself, first of all, to go into leadership roles, even if I didn't feel ready for them, was something that was really helpful. I forget what the first leadership role that I applied for was, but I remember that I was when I first started leadership, I was not ready for it. I did not feel prepared, but that's honestly the best time to start because you'll have the support of your other leaders, but you also have little things like speaking roles and meetings or just little presentations, little things like taking attendance that you might have to do. And it starts small and then you can kind of build up to become more active yourself. I think other things are just becoming more involved in general. I think that being in the committees or trying to be, especially in these smaller groups, which committees tend to have, which kind of forces you to talk with their groups and your peers right there, is also a really good way to be able to expand your voice because you're in these smaller groups. You kind of have to talk about whatever you're talking about at that meeting right then. So especially if your daughter's involved in the club, I would say encourage her to join committees and these smaller groups. And I think the other way that it also helped me specifically was allowing me and encouraging me to join other activities because of Hands4Hope. I just naturally, this wasn't even something I did. I just became more interested in my community and wanted to join other kind of similar internships and things like that made me super excited to want to learn more. So I think that it kind of happens over a while, so I wouldn't force it, but just encouraging her to join leadership kind of slowly and becoming more involved gradually, and then you'll kind of see that change happen over time, was what happened for me at least.
Thank you.
What school does she go to?
Rolling.
No, okay.
I went there as well, so. Yeah.
And one more question, sorry. When you guys say inclusion, what is the extent of inclusion? Are we talking about culturally speaking? Because we live in a community where we have minorities and I can speak for, I'm Hispanic and I can see there's not many like us in the schools, and it's growing in the last few years because I moved here 4 years ago and I noticed a big difference. But how do you include kids? Are we talking about culturally speaking, or when what like Amanda was saying, that the kids have a disability,
Mhm.
or is all of it, or how do you guys target that?
We don't target it. So what we do is we train to make sure that our youth understand how to do it, how to be inclusive of everybody. And it really is everything. It's culturally, but it's also socioeconomic, and then just where they are in their life. It's really interesting because we've had a lot of youth who are in the club and in leadership who are helping do these projects, and they're actually receiving the same services. So, I mean, I've worked side by side with a youth who's experiencing homelessness up at the upper room, where they provide hot meals every day, and she actually served her family there that day. And so what was important about that is it's really empowering for youth to know that they can make a difference too, and that they're receiving these services, but they can also give back. And then I saw that particular youth, and I've seen it many times over, where they get more comfortable to talk about their circumstance. And so it really helps build a community of understanding within that smaller group. Like, this is my peer that's experiencing homelessness. Like, I'm helping my community, but it's really my community, this person that's sitting next to me in school, as well as the people that I'm going to help through this agency. So it's really everything. And so it's really just important to us. And like Rebecca said, at camp, she was focused on, diversity and helping bring those elements in. We talk about it in every one of our leadership elements. We're always reminding them to think about their own self and like how they might be different from their neighbor, whether they know it or not, so that they can just be aware all the time.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Other questions? All right. Well, please fill out the forms either online or on paper. And that is it. And we're here, Laura and I are here to help with any individual questions about registration or anything like that. But thank you very much for being here tonight, and thank you, Cara.
Thank you.
Oh, sure.